Don't forget that our regularly scheduled programming is brought to you by M3 Virtual Accounting. Molly Morris is my personal and professional accountant, and she has been so easy to work with. She has been so flexible. I was able to have a meeting with her for free and talk for a while about what I was looking for and figure out what I could afford, and she worked with me on it. She has just been a godsend and made life so much easier for me. So if you have an online business like a podcast, Airbnb, if you do OnlyFans, anything like that, and you find yourself a little panicked when tax time comes, I really recommend going to m3virtualaccounting.com and setting up a free consult with Molly. Do it and let her know that I sent you.
This is an Unspoiled Network podcast.
This is Some Spoiled, a Song of Ice and Fire 2, the co-host switcheroo, the rereading, Return to Westeros, HBO spoiler edition, uncut, uncensored, and too hot for TV, bringing you chapter 62 and 63, unlike what Google says chapters 62 and 63 are, evidently, The Sacrifice and Victarion. In these chapters, lots of burning people alive in these chapters. So many people. Just, it's really a fashion at this point. Welcome to Unspoiled.
Monsters are dangerous, and just now kings are dying like flies.
I am the king!
Fuck the king.
Welcome to the show, everyone. I am Natasha.
I'm Rashawn. Yeah, it's all the rage in these two chapters, isn't
Trend.
it? It's what's hot in the streets. It's what the kids are doing. It's what
all
people
over
are here
TikTok.
for. Trending.
You guys, we're back to the book after taking that little break to do Hot D. And Rashawn and I are both like kind of weary. Probability, guys, that I had said of like potentially us covering another Song of Ice and Fire thing like Dunk and Egg. I still would like to do that, but I don't think we're going to do that right away. I think that I may detour to something else and then come back to Song of Ice and Fire a little bit later, or perhaps not cover Dunk and Egg and do what we did with Hot D, where she gets to watch the show unspoiled to the plot beats of that. Because we're kind of Song of Ice and Fired out at this point. And
A little bit.
you know, we're just kind of ready to move on and do something else. So I just wanted to let you, this happens. It's not a critique of the writing. It's like I had this with Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson, which are excellent books in a really well thought out universe. But it just got to a point where I was like, we need to do something stupid because my brain can't handle it. I need something that is less intricate because I can't be trusted to keep track of details anymore. It's overfilled. I needed to reset my hard drive, get some new RAM added. I'm still waiting on that. It's in the mail, I've been told. Not really.
Oh, no.
No, my RAM for my brain. I don't know how you add more of it, but I need it. So if anybody out there is like,
there should be drugs for that. Remember that movie that came out with like the pill that expanded the rest of your whole brain? It was like Limitless or some shit. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, with Bradley Cooper. I never saw it.
I didn't watch. Did I watch it? They turned it into like a TV show that I watched, which wasn't even that good.
Really?
But it felt like it had potential. I can't. Yeah, it like had potential. It only had like one season, if that. It might not even gotten a whole season run. But where is that pill? That movie was like 10 years ago. What's the hold up?
This is
where is Big Pharma?
Probably a major part of that movie was like, we only use 12% of our brains, and we know now that that's not true at all. So
is that not true?
No, it's not.
Has that been debunked?
Yeah, many times.
So then what is my excuse then? God damn it.
You're stupid. That's all. It's fine. Me too. Hey, Super Club. Love it for us.
Shit.
It's not exclusive at all. Club will let you right in, no bouncer.
The club has to stay at both your hands because you're too dumb to remember which hand has the stamp on it.
They put the stamp right in the middle of your forehead so that you don't have to you can just check on the cameras. Oh, yeah, no, she's got one. Anyway, okay. So, the sacrifice. This chapter is from oh my god, Asha's perspective. I almost said Yara, and I don't know how. I don't feel like I've done that on this ever, where I almost said like her show name instead.
I don't think so.
I guess it had to happen sometime. So, and shit's really, really bleak. It has been. I feel like that's been our chant for this book, and that could be part of our fatigue, certainly.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like, this is a series of just bad shit happening to everyone that we know.
Mm-hmm.
Like I made a joke about the Victarion chapter, like everything is coming up, good for him. But I know that there's going to be a heavy price to pay. I just don't know what it's going to look like,
And when Rashawn says she made a joke and you're like, did she? It was before we started recording, so don't worry.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I made a little, like, in News That Shocks No One, I made a little Simpsons joke about Victarion.
Indeed.
But yeah, so we're joining Asha Greyjoy as she is, like, she's a hostage. There's no sense dancing around, the obvious here.
Mm-hmm. You said that like you were going to be like, but sometimes being a hostage, like, pretty nice gig.
Like, she's got, like, she's not, like, chained up to a post anywhere at the moment.
Sure. For now.
So she's got that going for her. But that's about all she's got going for her when we open up this chapter. This fucking she-bear, the fact that we're just calling her that. Like, I know that's her nickname, and she's fine with it. But also, I'm just like, I don't like it. She has.
She doesn't want anybody knowing her name. You don't know how bad the spam mail gets here in Westeros. Doesn't need any more. She keeps that shit to herself. It's like not using your government on Facebook. Nobody needs it.
That's like the dumbest thing I ever did was like start a Facebook account with my whole ass real name when like nobody else was doing that. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking.
I think I started mine with my real name as well. So, which, I'm pretty much an open book anyway, so it doesn't bother me. But it is
but I'm not.
You are a book that is not only closed but under a brick.
Oh, fuck, it's true, though. So, yeah, we open this with the burning of, is it 4 dudes being burned alive? Because they got caught being cannibals.
They did indeed.
And
there's a real sense of, like, they weren't the first ones. They just got caught.
Yeah. They just got caught. Yeah, there's a real sense that, like, other people were just like, oh, I hope nobody saw me when I was eating on those fingers, or when I had, like, oh my God, when a guy is arguing, he's about to burn, and he's yelling and screaming about how tasty the meat was.
Oh my God.
And
there was something about that. Oh,
there's a lot of things about that. What do you mean something about it? There's a lot of things
just the fact, like, her suspicion, because he gets his throat cut for being mouthy. And it seems like she is giving him the credit of foreseeing that was what would happen to him and choosing death that way, which
Yeah, she calls him
maybe that is
clever.
exactly what he was doing. Yeah. But I just kind of love if somebody is about to execute you anyway, just deciding to like lean in on that crime really hard and get into some details about it that aren't even necessarily true, but you just decided that you're gonna fucking like paint a picture and leave a real impression with everybody who's here to witness your death. You know, getting hanged for like stealing, and I stole a piece of fruit from the market, and just being like, that peach was delicious. The juices ran down my chin. I went and got a second one.
It was as sweet as when I was eating your mother last night. You know, like you're really fucking going out with a fucking bang.
I don't know. I like it.
But when he starts talking about how the cock is the choicest part, all I could think of was poor Aegon and his burst sausage. And I was just like,
yes.
Too soon. Too soon.
Yes. Same. Aegon's burst sausage cock, and also couldn't help think of Coriolanus Snow because there's some mild
right. Yep.
cannibalism in that as well.
Mild cannibalism.
Like cannibalism.
Right, not the in-the-face cannibalism that you're getting here from George Martin.
Definitely not. Yeah,
and
whole different
these because they're also stuck in these storms. I keep forgetting, like but whenever we're back into towards the north, there's like these, winter has come and there is just like crazy snowstorms everywhere, and the way that some of these lords are like blaming the snow on the northerners that are marching along with them, all this like infighting about whose fault it is that it's snowing so much, and like
this
which
is one
god
of my
is
favorite
the appropriate
things.
God.
Just how like completely true to life. People need somebody to blame for stuff
always,
and they will do some weird gymnastics to get that to like make sense. And I put make sense in scare quotes because it doesn't. But it's adequate for them, I guess. But yeah, just trying to be like, you're the reason the snow. What? What are you talking about?
It's this like they've got like the two gods in this chapter, and then we have the two gods in Victarion chapter as well. I appreciate it, and also another sacrifice. So I appreciated how these two chapters kind of paralleled in that way. Mm-hmm, but this sort of like, so in this chapter we have like they're sacrificing to the red god, and you got to be real careful about which god you say
there's 6 guys.
Is it? Oh, that's even worse.
Yeah. Sorry, you're saying you got to be real careful.
Oh yeah, about like which god you claim to represent, and like because the one guy, Sir Justin, like slips and says gods, like plural, and somebody is like, what are you talking about gods? There's only one god, and you're just like, I'm just imagining trying to like toe that line of which some of us have to do in real life. We have to pretend.
True.
We keep up appearances. Maybe we don't want to get into a fight every Thanksgiving, so you don't announce your atheism at the dinner table. You just hold hands and pray, over the meal, just because it's easier that way. And Allie Mormont, the she-bear, is just like, I don't want to watch this, and you don't want to watch this. She says that to Asha, and Asha's like, no, I don't want to watch it, but I will. So the she-bear is like, all right, I do not need to watch this. Like, I was trying to put a little hit down. And like you misunderstood what I was trying to say here.
Yeah, this is the kind of thing that I don't understand why you would put yourself through watching this if you didn't have to. Why? For what reason? Like, what are you getting out of it? There are times where it's like these people dying was my fault or responsibility, and so I'm going to make myself at least like go through the ordeal of watching this because I am responsible for carrying this out. But Asha's not in that position, and I am just kind of like, well, then what are you doing, girl? Why do you need to? Just
I wonder
go
if it's
have some coffee and leave it be.
I wonder if it's like a streak of defiance because she's being threatened all the time with you're next. So she wants to like show the men that she's not afraid. But like
Maybe.
this is a legitimate and okay thing to be afraid of, right?
Yeah, very much.
I don't think it makes her any less of a warrior or anything else to be like, you know what? I'm just gonna go inside.
Yeah.
They don't need me here. I'm not contributing anything to this. You know, and she had a out with the person who's like, I want to say chaperoning her, but it doesn't feel like strong
in
enough.
Custody.
Her custodian, her jailer, her
yeah,
person who makes sure she doesn't run away.
Yeah, I guess it is her custodian. It sounds
it sounds very strange to use it that way, but because when the she-bear is like, I'm out, Asha has to be like, look, you can go. I'm not going to run. I'm not running away. Like, where am I going? I don't have any weapons. And where would I go if I did run? So I feel like she's standing there just kind of like, this is what they're threatening me with all the time. So I'm going to stand here and let them watch me stand here and watch this. I'm not going to run away in like fear that this might also be my end. But
I think you're right about her motivation, but I don't really feel like anybody gives a shit that she's like.
Yeah, like it's that's exactly where I was going because like I don't think anybody really gives a fuck, and I think it's just how she's built, you know.
Yeah.
Also, I think she kind of wants to see, and this is me adding some shit that's really not in the text, but I'm going to add it anyway. She's watching how the rest of these guys are watching all this. Like she's checking out what people
That's
are like.
True.
You know what I mean? Like, and I don't know how helpful or even necessary that information is. Well, I won't say helpful. I'll say necessary. Like, I don't know how much she needs to clock how everybody is reacting, but because of who she is, I feel like that information would be helpful to her should she find herself in a position to I don't know, free herself in some way. It would be helpful for her to know like who has the stomach and what they have the stomach for, you know.
Yeah, I could see that because there is a gentleman that gets a bit too eager about it, and she's like, "Oh, there's somebody who just likes hurting women." Worth knowing, I suppose. Although, to a degree in this world, it just feels like everybody is fine with that. So,
it is only 4 guys. It's the Peasberry 4, they're called.
Oh, okay. Because it said 6 men are digging 6 holes, so I assumed that it was 6 guys.
Yeah,
but
those are for the stakes. Yeah, 6 men for 6 holes for the stakes. Those are the guys putting up the apparatus.
Why do they need 6 stakes if they're not burning 6 guys?
I don't know.
I'm imagining them being burned at the stake, but evidently not.
6 Queen's men were wrestling 2 enormous pine wood poles into holes 6 other Queen's men had dug out. Asha did not have to ask their purpose. She knew stakes. I don't know.
Wait, 2 logs into 6 holes?
Were wrestling 2 enormous pine wood poles into holes 6 other Queen's men had dug out.
Oh, not into 6 holes. The holes were dug by 6 men. I get it. Got a little bit of sort of dyslexia over there happening. Okay, I got it.
I have to mention, and then we can but I have to say, somebody calls the red god Red Ralu. And that's it for me, y'all. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Red Ralu.
That is that's it going forward. I mean, I was never good at saying it anyway. Rolor or however you say it. Is it Rolor?
It's Rolor.
Rolor, yeah, see, no.
I'm personally a fan of Rolo.
Red Rollo.
Rollo.
Red Rollo.
There's a Cajun restaurant chain down here named Razoo's.
Oh
it's sort of
no!
making me think of that
No! Apparently, I don't want to spoil anybody on the fucking Daredevil Wolverine movie that's out. I don't know if it's
I haven't seen it.
Spoiler. Okay, I won't say nothing about it then. Never mind.
Is there a cameo from Razoo?
Yes.
Lesser known X-Men.
Yes.
Powers burned at the stake. Wow. Only can do it once.
That's wildly accurate. All right. So yeah, this while she's watching, we get like backstory about why they're being sacrificed, what they did, and how they got caught. And they didn't kill anybody. They just,
use the body.
Use the body. And people are starving, and this is I don't know. I feel like have we seen cannibalism in this series? Like the books cross over. I can't remember what I saw where.
I feel like we have.
Like I know whenever it comes up,
especially like when Arya is traveling around and there's nothing.
Right. So this is like something that comes up out of, which is to be understood, like sheer absolute desperation, that you are like starving to the point where eating a person that you once knew becomes something that you're able to do, which I think really can't be overstated how desperate you have to be to cross that line. Because as humans, we just have a natural aversion, like that's the worst thing you can do is, to eat, so it really tells us how dire their situation is. And it doesn't matter. And I'm not even saying it's wrong that it doesn't matter. Like you can't just be eating folk. You just can't. Like nobody's gonna trust you. Nobody's gonna want to fight with you. Nobody's gonna want to live with you. Nobody's gonna want to march with you. Like that's just a taboo.
Unreasonable, in my opinion.
Is that unreasonable?
All these bodies just sitting around doing nothing. A wolf can come and eat them, but I can't eat him. He was my friend. He'd want me to eat him. Come now. But he came to me in a dream and said, "Chow down, bucko."
Enjoy. Is that your prophecy? It's a little known part of Aegon's prophecy.
The part where somebody says bucko.
But
he left it out when he tells other people about it because it's not dignified enough. He didn't like it. It was too familiar.
But it's interesting that of the various taboos that are broken and breached in this universe, you talk about incest and child murder and various assaults and abuses of women and children. But cannibalism, and even in this universe, is a bridge too far. Burning people alive at the stake, that's fine. But eating somebody when you're starving after they've died, even George Martin is like, I can't abide it. Not on my watch.
Want it on the record that I am fine with somebody eating me. If anybody out there ever winds up nearby to my body after I have died and you are starving and you are in a position where you can just butcher one of my legs off, go for it. Probably marbled to perfection. Y'all know I love it. Go ahead. I don't care. What do I care? It's fine.
People used to try to throw in my face because I didn't have children. They'd be like, "Oh, your cats are going to eat you when you die." Listen, I don't want
Perfect
my baby
way
starving.
To use my body. Great.
I don't want them starving. If they need a nibble before somebody comes in and can feed them, I'm right here.
Yep.
Got to say something else to hurt my feelings. That's not going to do the job you think it's doing.
Listen, everybody who tries to hurt women's feelings by talking about our cats, all you're doing is proving that you don't understand how great cats are. And especially dudes who are like, oh, well, you're going to wind up with nobody for company but cats. What advantage do you think you have over cats?
They are both simultaneously underestimating cats and overestimating men.
Exactly. It's embarrassing. Sir, you don't purr. You don't have fluffy fur.
When's the last time you made me biscuits?
What do you bring to the table? Yeah, right?
You don't make biscuits? Anyway.
Do you have little cute toe beans? No, you probably got weird toes, too. Stay away from me. Anyway.
So yeah, we have the sacrifice. We have the one guy who is the sergeant, and that's the one that you mentioned is just goes like fucking starts going in about like, yeah, I did it and I'll do it again. Fuck you, fuck your god, fuck your red god. I laugh when he tells one guy, I laugh when your fucking cousin died. We should have eaten him too. Like
that's my favorite. It's just you know what? I wish I had eaten more of y'all.
He says the one guy, Corliss Penny. What kind of name is that? Like now we're just going after people's names. Penny. Is that how much your mother charged? This dude is going in, y'all. He is going in.
It's so
He's
good.
going hard. And finally, the one guy just goes up and slices his fucking throat. And this other guy, this poor guy, is just sobbing about how hungry he was. The guy was dead. We were hungry, please. And then it's over. And they are, Stannis comes down. Fucking Stannis. He just comes down, kind of watches. It doesn't really say much. And
Never
the
does.
men are all
Never does.
Yeah.
It's very close-lipped.
And then they do like the whole their chants to the Lord of Light and their prayers, I guess, is really what they're doing. And all of the voices kind of come up together in this crescendo. And Asha is watching everything and is just like sick to her fucking stomach. And she is thinking to herself, like, we do some wild shit back at home. Like our priests have, drowned people, cut their throat and thrown them in the water. But this shit right here, this is some other shit. When the Ironborn are looking at you like, well, y'all wild.
This is a little extreme, don't you think? Yeah, it's not a great sign.
It says so much.
Yeah.
And then it's time to go eat. What?
Yeah.
It's time to go eat after watching this. That is
It's so funny to me. It's like eating people's flesh is totally not okay. But apparently being so fine with burning people alive that you can then go straight from there to having a nice little din-din isn't a mark of something being profoundly wrong with you.
Nope.
Like that for me feels like that's a much bigger indicator that you are mentally unwell. You just watch some men being burned to death, and then you're like, ooh, I could really go for like a steak. Yeah. Something that's rare. Like, no, that's not how you should react to that at all. It makes me think of when Sam, like, the smell is like ham when they're burning a man, and his mouth fills with water, and then he vomits.
Right.
He just can't, like, yeah.
Yeah, like that's the appropriate reaction. I think, is to be like just so disgusted that you vomit at the thought of conflating sort of human flesh with tasty ham, And then there's this Suggs guy who is just menacing Asha at every turn, and he like comes up behind her right after this is over, and he's just basically he's all just wait till it's your turn. You know, his
Mm-hmm.
whole chapter is very much you're next. You're next.
Yeah.
And Allie Mormont comes over and has to be like, Can you please unhand her?
Mm-hmm.
And we're not burning her. Lady Asha is not for burning. And Suggs is like, she will be, and calls Asha a demon worshiper. But he also doesn't want no smoke with Ali Mormont because he lets Asha fucking go and
Mm-hmm.
mutters about how Asha will be next, but also walks the fuck away.
Yeah, this dude, it's sort of weird too because like later on, he turns out to not be a coward. Like he goes out there when they hear
Mm-hmm.
horses and they aren't sure who's
Mm-hmm.
coming. But it just goes to show that like if Ali Mormon is somebody that he's like, you know what, never mind, don't worry about it. But then there's like an anonymous enemy in the woods and he's willing to go toe to toe with them with no further information. That must
Mm-hmm.
really speak to Ali Mormon and how intimidating she is. That's kind of
Listen,
dope.
it says one did not provoke the she bear needlessly. And I believe that with my whole being. I really do. And it's I'm sure we probably said this when we first met her, but I'm going to repeat myself. We don't get her in the show at all. We just get little Lady Mormont,
Yes.
who was badass in her own right. So like, no shade
Oh
to
yeah.
her, but like this she bear, this Ali Mormont is like somebody that probably would have been pretty dope to see. But you know, you can't get everything, can't win them all.
Yeah. They really are pretty good at like casting children with this whole series. You know,
Yeah,
the kid who went up to Damon and was just like, "Are you gonna do what we fucking ask you? Do you want us to join you or not, bitch?" Like
little
that
Oscar
dude was.
Tully.
Yeah, he looked like he was like probably in real life 20, maybe, but in the show he looks like he's 14. You know.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
I 100% bought him as running things. It was no question. And I feel
Yeah,
like that's
yeah.
probably hard to get a convincing actor of an age that looks reasonable to the actual like canon age of a character.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, I have to say,
anyway.
like, even with the, you know, the one thing that these shows are, in my opinion, really good at is casting. Like, there's been a couple of missteps that,
Definitely.
you know, people, you know, like gripe about, but for the most part, across the two series that we had so far, they fucking really do nail that casting.
Mhm. Definitely. All right. So oh, and it's him too, right? That she says something I think to Justin about like that this guy isn't okay, right? You know that. And he says something about how every time that there was a female prisoner that had to be questioned and tortured, he was always like the first dude to volunteer.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, it's when
So
she's talking to
yeah.
Justin on the way to dinner, and
Yeah.
they they're talking about at dinner how something called the cold count last night reached 80,
The
and
cold
if we
count is how
march,
many people died.
oh, is that's what I thought, but I was like,
Yeah.
that's a weird way to, so that's just how many people froze last night.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah,
80
that's
people
mentioned in
in
an
one
earlier
night.
chapter, but it's been so long now. Yeah.
Oh, that's a lot of fucking people in one night to go,
Mhm.
just freezing to death. And so what's happening is there's the people want to march because they don't want to stay here and die. And then there are some people who are like, we should probably stay here because we'll definitely die. And if we
Mhm.
get to Winterfell, say we even make it to Winterfell, like, and that's a fucking big if. What are we going to do when we get there? We're like
Yeah.
frozen, we're starving, we're weak. What are we going to fucking do? And there's a Karstark here, Arnulf Karstark. And he is of the mind that we need to march, and that everything is going to be okay. And Justin Massey, who's the one that kind of rescued Asha from Suggs after Lady Mormont left, because Lady Mormont, I want to mention, also does not have an appetite because she's the only one that's got any fucking good sense. Justin Massey is like the lone voice of dissent against this like room of people who are clamoring to go march to Winterfell.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure that you have forgotten by now, but do you remember the whole thing with the Karstarks and how they're like about to betray Stannis?
Yeah,
and how they were teamed up with Roose Bolton.
There's partly, not all of it, but
Okay.
I know that there's the girl that shows. There was a girl that showed up somewhere. This is so bad. Y'all are gonna hate me. I remember. I'll just leave it at this. I remember parts of it. I know that there's a woman that showed up somewhere that clued us in to the double or the backstabbing that was about to take place. And this is why this guy is so insistent that they need to hurry up and get to Winterfell, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, I think you're thinking of one of the Spearwives that was with like Mance Rayder's crew that snuck into Winterfell, maybe?
No.
But what we saw the Karstarks with Roose. Like we heard the plan like from their mouths. So there was no need for like a third party to inform us about it because we
didn't we get. I thought we got both.
I think we did, but I'm just saying like we also just saw ourselves that he's going to betray because he was with Roose Bolton. The girl that you're describing, I thought was one of the Spearwives, but maybe I'm wrong. Because I don't remember who you're talking about.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking about somebody that rode on a horse that showed up somewhere to Jon, I think.
Oh, to Jon. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Does she tell him that Karstark's going to betray them?
I think so, because she wants help with like her uncle who's trying to steal her claim, right? and all that stuff. Yeah. And we get that first, and then we actually see it later. But all that to say, is this Karstark? This is the guy that I'm talking about right now. This Arnulf Karstark. He is part of the betrayal, right? And so that I
think he might be the one that was trying to marry her.
And so the reason why he is just insisting that they need to hurry up and get to Winterfell is because he knows that he's trying to deliver them to Roose, right?
Right.
Okay. So, this is when Justin is like, we're gonna die.
Yeah, every single thing that anybody says. And eventually somebody's like, are you on our fucking side or not? Because you just are extremely fatalistic no matter what. And it's in a little bit like you're trying to undermine things here. Which
this is when he slips up and is like, our gods be good. Are you all fucking crazy? And somebody is like, gods. And so Justin has to kind of like leave. I'm not going to stay here and be insulted, he says. And he snatches his coat and stalks outside. And Asha has to go behind him. She gets immediately lost in the snow. She can't find him. And she's like stumbling around in the snow. And fucking Suggs is there again. It's creepy people like this always are around you when you're vulnerable. They always fucking show up when you're by yourself. And he's just, you'll look just as pretty once you're roasted. Tell me, can squids scream? It's just gross. And the whole time she's dealing with this asshole, all she is thinking in her head is, if I had my fucking axe, if the gods would just let me have one little axe, it doesn't even have to be a big axe, just give me a little axe. I would fuck him up. I would fuck him up so good. And she has this great line because he keeps calling her a cunt. And she's just like, it's odd how men like Suggs use that word to demean women when it's the only part of a woman they value. And Suggs was worse.
I've often thought that myself.
Listen, it's like, that's a whole other fucking podcast.
Yep.
A whole other. But she says about Suggs, when he says the word, he means it. And so she says out loud to him, your king gelds men for rape. BT dubs. Just want to remind you of that. And he says, first of all, the king is half blind from staring into fires, but I don't have any fear because I'll not rape you. I need to kill you after, and I'd sooner see you burn. And then she's like, do you hear that? And he's, hear what? She's like, a horse. No, it's horses. It's more than one. And she's listening, and he's trying to be all like, oh, this is some fucking game. You're full of shit. And then he's like, oh, wait. And he hears it, but by the time he hears it, the riders are like right there on them. And this is when you say, he tells her to run. He says, run, you stupid cunt. Like, I don't know why that was so funny to me, but it's like, because he's like you said earlier, he's willing to like stand and fight, and tells her to like run to safety. But it's not that the Hound was this terrible, but it was giving me Hound for a second. It was just very, maybe it's just the use of cunt because that was his favorite word. But run, true. You stupid cunt was such a Hound thing to say.
True.
And he tells her to run and ward the king. Lord Bolton is upon us. And he's standing there ready to fucking like go with whoever is here. And Asha's running, and she's like, it's too many to be scouts, but it's not enough to be an actual like vanguard of men, like, you know, rolling up on us. And then she's like, oh wait, Night's Watch, there's two that are all in black. So she stops running, which I thought was crazy, but she stops running to be like, who are you? And a voice that she describes as half familiar says, we're friends. We looked for you at Winterfell, but found only Crowfoot Umber beating drums and blowing horns. It's taken us some time to find you. And Asha is like, Triss? Word? Is that you? And
this
like,
fucking guy again.
I'm trying to imagine like the shock she must have felt in this moment. That like, of all the things that she could have expected to happen in her near future, how far off her radar something like this had to have been, right?
Yeah.
Like, who is coming to rescue her? Who is coming to save her? Like, as far as she knows, there's no one left that would give a fuck about her. She's got her crazy ass uncles out there that she had to flee from. Who was coming to her rescue? So for someone to show up in the middle of the night and be like friends, and then it actually be people that served under her, like her, these are her fucking dudes. These are her men. And they are with fucking, what's his name?
Tycho Nestoris.
Thank you.
Yes.
Listen, the Iron Bank be about their business.
They do. They do be.
This man left the wall. That's the last time we saw him, was when he was dealing with Jon, right? And Jon was getting a loan.
Yep.
He'd have made his way to Winterfell. Stannis wasn't there. He somehow ransomed and got some Ironborn out of the Deep Woods dungeons with Lady Glover. Apparently was willing to trade some men for some coin. And has tracked Stannis down. Because
he really just like did the whole job. Like came up. It's just wild. Like
nobody else has been this efficient. Nobody else is moving this quickly to where their destination is supposed to be to get in front of the person they need to get in front of. No one else. This one dude.
I will say he only does have to be responsible for himself and not a whole host of people, so that does make it a little easier. But nevertheless,
it also makes it way more treacherous too, because he's just out here, just like
it's
on his own,
extremely brave.
You know, he's out here like he's fucking wheeling and dealing across the north to get in front of Stannis because he wants to know about them coins. It's just wild to me. Like, we've been following for, what is it, 5 books now? These people on, like, these various people on these endless fucking journeys. And this one dude is just like, oh, I gotta be in Winterfell by
Zipping
Wednesday.
around. He's on that Showtime. You know how the show, everything was just
Varys
like,
was. He's moving like Varys.
Exactly. He's got some sort of in with a producer, and he's just like, yeah, tell me about that secret way that everybody was always going. Let me get in on that.
So yeah, he shows up and he has he announces who he is. You know, I'm a fucking Perfosi banker, and Asha is just like can't do anything but laugh. This whole thing is so fucking ridiculous to her. And
I also want to note that like she had just been thinking like, I just want an axe, just put an axe in my hand. And then the first thing that she notices when these like horses ride up, Asha saw a battle axe strapped to one man's saddle.
Oh, right.
And
right.
I really think that's like coincidence, but I couldn't help but be like, I guess they were listening.
I do like that too, because she notices the axe, the warhammer, and then she can't make out the arms on the shields that they have because of all the snow. But yeah, I do like to think that axe came right for her.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, yeah, we're here because I heard that Stannis was here, and I really need to talk to him. And Asha is like, King Stannis has taken the Watchtower. I'm sure Sir Clayton will be pleased to show him to you. I'm sure. The fact that she keeps saying I'm sure made me laugh. And then he says, and you're Lady Asha of House Greyjoy. And he says, I've got a gift for you. And he dumps out this sack. Is it really just a sack?
The way that you just said that.
It just says that
I can't be reading that right.
They weren't actually in a sack, but it's the way it says that a girl and an old man, the two were dumped rudely in the snow before her, and she's looking at them, and she's no idea who the girl is. Mentions that she might have been pretty if she hadn't been so frightened, and the tip of her nose was black with frostbite. And then there's an old man. No one would ever think of him as comely. And she's just looking at how terrible this old man looks. And, you know, thin, his face, his skull was all skin. His hair is white and filthy. He stinks. The sight of him fills her with revulsion. And then he looks at her and says, sister, see, this time I knew you. And she's like, Theon. And he says, yeah. Theon, my name is Theon. You have to know your name. So this is some shit that definitely didn't happen in the show.
Nah.
And yeah, Theon is reunited with his sister in this way, which is a little unfortunate because, again, Asha is low-key a hostage. So now Theon is still low-key a hostage. I mean, it's better than where he was, right? But
definitely.
But by how
and he's also going to have actual information to share, which
that's my question. Can he share it? Like, I don't like the fact that he says, yes, Theon, I'm Theon, makes me feel hopeful that he will share information, but he could also be so fucking, like, the fact that he made a break for it makes me hopeful, but I'm just not sure how helpful he could be. Like, will he shut down? Will he clam up? Will he actually share the information? I'm rooting for him, though. I'm rooting for him. So, if he can tell them what he knows about what the Boltons have planned, what's going on with them, what's going on with Ramsay, what's going on with Roose, that will be super fucking helpful for Stannis.
Indeed.
But also, low-key, I'm not sure how much help I want Stannis to even fucking get. I'm all over the place.
There are going to be people who really jump down your throat on this, but yeah, agree. Like, and it's not like I feel like Stannis isn't better than some of our other options, obviously, but he is so like cold and hard that I'm like, don't we have enough of that already? It's winter. Maybe it's supposed to be that like here is a man who is of winter in a way, and so he's the exact right leader at this time. But I can't help but be like, we need something to warm shit up right now. I don't know. Maybe I'm just.
I guess that's where Daenerys comes in.
Yeah, true. All right. So then we go to Victarion. Like we said, lots more of the sacrificings happening here. And Victarion, he is really enjoying everything that Moqorro is telling him. Here is somebody who is telling him everything he has wished were true. It's hard to know if this is for real. Like, I feel like Moqorro isn't the type to lie, but also,
I mean,
why wouldn't you?
Keeps telling us, and just like he said, it was exactly as he said. You know, the ships were where he said they'd be. The rain came when he said it would. I mean, listen, this guy is like so high on his own. So I've got two gods. Who can beat a man who's got two gods? That's not how that works.
Really, I really enjoy that. There's no sense of like I'm betraying one of them, so one of them's going to be pissed at me. He's like, no. I'm taking care of both these gods. They have nothing to complain about. I sent them some really pretty virgins. I sent this guy some brave soldiers. Like, we are, our ledger is even. It's fine. Yep. Okay.
It's I know that there can be multiple gods within a pantheon of a single religion, but the picking of multiple gods from multiple religions and being like, I'm going to serve each one equally. I'm not saying that's necessarily
feels
wrong.
Roman somehow. Didn't they do this, or they just were sort of just like, nah, I like that. Yeah, let's take that too.
But they would take it and then incorporate it into their own thing. So it was still their one religion. They
That's
were just
true.
like, you know, he's just out here like, yeah, the red god is like up there.
It's
and the
still
down
their
god
own religion, but then they're, what do they say? Do they say like, yeah, you know, he's still part of the Roman, like our religion, except we just didn't know about him yet. He was just born. Or he was always there, but we just didn't see him.
Well, no, because they stole all of it at the same time. They just took the whole thing and just gave it new names.
But how do you incorporate that into what you've got going on already? How do you explain it?
I don't know.
You know what? There's no logic to this stuff anyway. What am I doing? Okay, never mind. Sorry. Anyway. But yeah, most of what's happening, like other than the sacrificing, which is certainly top of the list, there's also a lot of raiding, a lot of pirating.
Oh, he's
taking the ships, taking the people. It's very like, it's frightening sounding. Like, can you imagine being on the water and seeing this guy coming for you? Oof.
He is like having a win streak that is unmatched. Like every ship they well to be fair, and he even acknowledges this at the end of the chapter, they haven't really they're not close enough to Marine or the any of the other big free cities or slaver cities that they're encountering any like real defense. So they're getting like trading ships and fishing ships and shit like that. But they aren't getting them. They're just wrecking shit left and right.
Yeah.
Like no one is a match for them. Like some of the ships try to outrun him. You can't, because he's got 3 or 4 that are fast as fuck. He's got ones that are big, big enough that you can't fight them. So they're out here raiding and I guess not pillaging. Because pillaging is more of a land thing, right?
Yeah.
So
I
pirating, I
I feel like
guess.
this pirating is
Yeah. And they're getting people, they're getting goods. He's fucking setting slaves free because that's what Daenerys would do.
he set him free, but then is like, and you're still going to do the thing that you did when you were a slave before.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
broke your
just like
chains.
pure nonsense.
I broke your chains, but you have the honor now of working for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're free, but you're not that free. You're not that fucking free. You're not free to just get up and go. But like, I broke your chain, so remember that. Remember this face. This is the face
You're
of the guy
welcome.
You're gonna put my face on money. That's what he's saying, basically.
Oh man,
And,
there's a guy that's like, Daenerys is dead, and he has his tongue cut out from lying because Makoro said.
And it doesn't, and then does it a second time because another person comes up and is like, "Yeah, she's gone," and they have that guy taken out too because you're not gonna be lying on my queen like that. How dare you? I like too the inclusion that Makoro is when they fished him out, he was a mess. So they've got him these nice robes now, but they didn't have anything in red. So he's just in like these, what I assume are these badass black robes. And he's like really dark skin. And he's got all the flames tattooed on his face. It is quite the intimidating figure in my imagination when I'm trying to picture this guy.
Yeah, it's such a shame they didn't do anything with him on camera. Yeah. Like, he just sounds very cinematic to me.
Yeah, absolutely. That would have been badass to see. Like, and then, like, there's a section somewhere in here where he talks about watching Makoro stare into the fire, and it looks like the flames are dancing on his face as well. They could have done some shit with that. They could have did a couple things there. The crew, have started calling him the Black Flame because there's a man named Stefar Staminer who can't say Makoro, and I felt so seen. I felt so very seen.
A Black Flame is a really great name, though.
Listen, next time I need a username. I used aggressively Team Black when I had to sign up for Twitch so I could join
nice.
So that's what I used on Twitch. I would say find me on Twitch, but don't, because I'm not really on there. But if you happen to ever see aggressively Team Black floating in the wild out there, that's me.
I'm not on there at all, I don't think. Or I probably had to make a username way back when I was trying to do Twitch instead of Crowdcast. But didn't work out. So I have no memory of what username I picked.
I don't even remember that at all.
I looked into it recently with the
when the Crowdcast was
trying to change its prices. Yeah. But anyway, so oh my god, there's also some guy who later on is like, "Oh, Daenerys went off into the Dothraki Sea." And Victarion's like, "Well, where's that sea? God. I could go there. I could do it." And he's like, laughs at him. And of course, Victarion's like, "All right, kill this guy."
He fucking kills him himself. He grips that man up, lifts him bodily up in the air by his goddamn neck, and chokes the life out of him.
With the like fucked up hand that he's got that's still like on fire somehow.
Well, yeah, because he says this hand that's still somehow on fire is stronger than it ever was before. Like before it was injured.
Yeah,
see, that's that magic, y'all. That's that. See, the Drown God is not going to accept you down in the waters because you got that arm. Somebody should tell Victarion that.
I feel like that's going to just make the sea boil.
Absolutely. The Drown God is going to like go to open the gates to whatever heaven exists under the sea for the Ironborn, and then he's going to see that arm. And then he's going to have to get escorted out, and it's going to be really embarrassing for everybody.
Oh my god, I had forgotten that the reason this is funny. The reason for like the clothing change was going to be, maybe the men will accept him more when he's in Greyjoy colors, and then he's just like all the more fucking intimidating, and it did not work at all. I think that's pretty good. Oops.
So there's some conversation between Makoro with Victarion, who at one point he's like, listen, your drowned god, he's a demon. He's a thrall of the other, the dark god whose name must not be spoken. And Victarion warns him to be really careful about how you talk. But he says it in a way that's like, there are godly men aboard this ship who would tear your tongue out. He doesn't
Yeah.
say, like, how dare you talk about my God that way.
Nope.
Which I just thought was really interesting, right? Victarion
very
doesn't
much like, I know that you don't mean anything by it, and it's fine around me because I am an open opportunity for all gods kind of guy.
Yeah, it also
which is
it makes me like it makes me question his faith, and not in a way that like I'm judging somebody about their lack of faith, not that, but like it seems like a real indication that Victarion, it's not about faith for him. It's about like, I'm just going to hedge all my bets to get the best outcome I can possibly get, you know, because he doesn't take any personal offense here. So
no.
And that
we kind of talked about this like a while back about how similar Victarion really is to Stannis, with Stannis throwing in with the Red God, because he basically was like, what have the gods ever done for me? They've just fucked me like over and over again. And he's a second son, and Victarion is a second son. So yeah, there's a definite sense of just like, let me just try whatever.
Yeah, the thing is, like with Victarion, is that he hasn't thrown away his old god to accept this new god in a way that Stannis has. He's trying to like, I'm gonna have both. I'm gonna have all the gods, whichever ones I can get on my side. I'm gonna let them ride with me, or I'm gonna ride with them. Where Stannis is at least pretending to be faithful, and like walking sort of like in the way to suggest that he takes this religion as his own now. Victarion isn't even trying to pretend that he is a convert. He's not a convert. He's a collector.
Yeah, I like that. It makes me think of the guy from The Mummy who has all of the different religious symbols around his neck.
Mummy.
Oh my God, Rashawn, you gotta watch it. It's so fun.
I've never seen it.
But yeah, he's this dude who's like kind of a slimy weasel type, and he has got like a Star of David and a cross and a pentacle and like a couple of different like what seems like maybe Hindu gods, all kinds of stuff that he has around his neck all at once. And when the mummy starts to come at him to like swallow him up, he takes each one out and says a prayer in whatever language is necessary for that particular religion. Like he has collected all of them just in case. And I just think that is such a fun bit, especially that he went through the trouble of learning the language, because like it's more than I've done, I'll say that. But same energy for sure.
I have here a little underline, because it's not necessarily important to the story here, but Victarion is thinking about how his exploits are going to be even greater than someone named Dagon Greyjoy. And it says, in Dagon's day, a weak king sat the Iron Throne, his rheumy eyes fixed across the narrow sea where the bastards and exiles plotted rebellion. And I just wanted to ask, when in the timeline, considering House of Dragon, is he talking about who ruled the Iron Islands before Aegon's conquest, or is it after? Do you know?
I don't know. Let me see.
It says that Dagon bearded the lion in his den, tied the direwolf's tail in knots, but even Dagon could not defeat the dragons. And then he says, but I'm going to make the Dragon Queen my own, and then I will...
I have to assume that's Aegon the Conqueror, like way early, but...
Okay. That's kind of what I
I'm looking
thought.
at the notes from
But
Austin, but I don't see any. Oh my God. Austin's start on the Victarion section is okay, this bugs me. Why, if you were just going to name this Victarion, did you name his previous chapter The Iron Suitor? Yeah, he got a little too fancy with these names, Austin. I agree with that.
yeah, we got a
Um,
lot of that in this book. We got a lot of that. Um,
let,
but it says that there was a
Victarion
king
references Lord Dalton Greyjoy. Is that what you were saying? I thought his name was different that you were saying.
in the book. It's Dagon, Dagon. Dagon
Okay,
Greyjoy
so
sat
it
in
must
the
have been
stone
somebody
chair,
else.
and it says that there
Okay.
was a weak king sat the Iron Throne. So there was a king on the Iron Throne that was weak. That's why I was like, maybe it's not fucking the Aegon's Conquest, because nobody was on the Iron Throne yet when they first fucking showed up, was there? So that doesn't make any sense. His rheumy
Yeah, I'm not
eyes
sure.
fixed across the narrow sea where bastards and exiles plotted rebellion. So yeah, I don't know. But I wanted to Google it and I knew I couldn't, and so I just was like, underline and ask.
Yeah, I probably should look it up. Dagon Greyjoy. It's Daegon? Or it's
D
Dagon?
Dagon.
Um, oh, interesting. Okay, because it says Dagon Greyjoy called the last Reaver at the opening of his thing, and Austin's info to me is Victarion references Lord Dalton Greyjoy, the last Reaver. So I think
Maybe
maybe there was some autocorrect that jumped in there on Austin's thing. And I think this is
okay.
the same. He was Lord of the Iron Islands and Lord Reaper of Pike during the reign of King Aerys the First. According to
Oh,
his great-grandson, Victarion, he last sat the sea-sown chair almost 100 years before the events of A Song of Ice and Fire. So that was after House of the Dragon, because that's 200 years before the events of Song of Ice and Fire, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, like 170, according
Yeah.
to the HBO anyway. Like 172 before Daenerys was born, I think, is the first fucking in the pilot. Excuse me.
All
So,
right. Yeah, that's that guy.
all right. So also
You're
I
right.
like yeah, I'm sorry, I just got like turned around where I was. I also liked it throughout Victarion's chapter. We keep counting how many ships he has. Because each
Oh,
time he
yeah, that's right.
wins, it's like, and now the Iron Fleet numbered 50-6. And then it's like now at numbered 60. He's just like collecting ships. And so then they get a one ship. I don't know if I'm jumping too far ahead.
No, I think you're fine, because it really is like we're just jumping around or jumping ahead, but this passes quickly with him just taking one ship after another. So, and he thinks to himself, what would Euron do? A lot. He calls him the crow's eye usually, but it's very, there's something kind of fanboyish about it, grudging, but still.
Right. Yeah. It's,
you know what I mean?
It's definitely giving, I'm in the shadow of this other person, and what can I do to get out of it, you know?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And they get a ship that's filled with men and women that are on their way to work in pleasure houses, and this is when he takes, I think it's like 7 of the best of the women that have to offer. Like he frees all the women, tells them that he's saving them from a life of depravity in these brothels, and instead of having to serve hundreds of men for money, they will just have to be serving one man, and that if they're good, they can become salt wives, and won't that be grand? But he takes the best of the entire lot for himself. But he's already got a side John that he's quite satisfied with, the dusky woman that he refers to. He's not really interested in replacing her. She works just fine. So you're like, what is he going to do with these women then? What he does is put them all on a little dinghy type situation, sends them out into the water, and then sets them on fire. Because he had been telling Makoro throughout this chapter that the gift or the sacrifice to your God is, I'm going to make good on it. I'm going to make good on it. I'm going to make good on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally makes good on it by setting this ketch on fire and then letting them burn and then be claimed by the sea. So in his mind, that's like 2 birds, 1 stone. 2 gods, one boat of bitches. Done.
One
He's all
boat
caught
of
up
bitches.
now. He's all caught up now. He's all even. And then they start to talk about the horn. He brings it out for the first time and shows it to Makoro. And it's just like, can you, what does it say? Because it's got some shit written on it in Valerian, and I can't read that. And it says, I am Dragonbinder.
Mm-hmm.
And he asks Victarion, have you ever heard it make a sound? Have you ever heard it sound? And Victarion tells a story about the King's Moot and says that the sound was like somehow it burned. Like he couldn't really explain it. He was like, it's as if my bones were on fire, searing my flesh from within. And Makoro is like, and what happened to the man who blew the horn? And, oh, he died. He died real bad. There were blisters on his lips. He had this giant hawk tattoo on his chest, and it was bleeding. Every feather was dripping blood. He even says, I heard that the man was burned on the inside, but that could have just been talk. Like, I don't know if that's entirely true. And Makoro is like, yeah, no, it's probably true.
He's like, yeah, that's real. This thing is fucked up.
It says, Makoro points out to this line, and it says, no mortal man shall sound me and live. And Victarion is like, this motherfucking crow's eye, god damn it, of course he would send me with some shit that it's a trap. It's always a trap, you know?
Mm-hmm.
How will that serve me if the price is death? He's fucking pissed.
Yeah, he
And
is.
you
He
know
gets
what?
very in his feelings very quick.
Like, we are sure, and I say we as like readers, right? We get that Euron knows how this horn works because he had enough sense not to blow it himself.
Yes.
But does not warn his brother how it works. Or
evidently.
I
mean, everybody told him. Everybody told him this guy, I mean, he heard that it burned and the guy's chest, like eagle, lit on fire.
Right.
And then people said, I'm pretty sure he burned it from the inside. I feel like you don't need to tell him anything if he isn't going to like, listen to the very obvious fucking all of this gossip and what he has seen with his own eyes. What more are you supposed to do? It's sort of on him at this point.
I'm not going to front. I would need my brother to tell me that. I would need him to immediately, as soon as he's handing it to me, I need him to be like, oh, by the way, don't you fucking blow this shit. Like, don't do it. Don't do it.
You know what Euron is like. I think you should probably treat everything he has ever given you as if it's infected with some horrible disease. Like, yeah. That is not a man who gives things because he's like out of the goodness of his heart.
That's fucking true. That's true. So Makoro also points out another piece that's written that says blood for fire, fire for blood. Doesn't matter who blows the hell horn. The dragon will come to the horn's master. You must claim the horn with blood. And that's how that shit ends, y'all. It just ends right there.
Yeah, I feel like that's the catch there, is that like Euron is assuming, oh, I'm the master of this horn, so he can blow it and then I'll get to take whatever, whatever happens. And he just didn't count on the fact that he'd be able to translate it and figure out a way around that, which well, Euron,
he didn't count on them fishing out a red priest out the sea.
Sure didn't.
You can't account for everything. You can't plan for everything. Which I feel like is like true for the fucking Asha chapter too, with fucking the banker scooping up Theon like that. Like, how do you plan for that?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
True enough.
there's no way to strategize for something that unlikely. You know, you can be the best planner, you can take into consideration all of the like potential ways things can play, but there are going to be some things that are just so far out of the realm of possibility, or the odds of occurring are so slim that to try to prepare for them would be like impossible, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, just
Yeah.
like how do you plan for that? And I guess that's the shit that's gonna fuck up these other big plans people got. Is the shit that you can't
Indeed.
plan for.
Well, that's the end of the chapters.
Yeah.
I have some new patrons that I would like to read their names. I don't feel like I did them at all during the show coverage because I feel like this is the official show. So I wanted to save them all for now.
Plus, those
So,
episodes were
welcome.
fucking in at 2 hours and 40 minutes. apiece.
Indeed, that also. So thank you to Catherine Oppenheimer. This one is spelled TJITS, and I'm just like, hopefully. I don't know.
How's it spelled? Say it again.
TJITS. Yeah,
Ow.
exactly. Corey Wayant, Michael Drobny, Marilee K, Tobias Winker, Kelly M, Miles West, Albatross, Kat Seaton, Rachel, Dana Deere, Ranieri, Nora Henry, Tori G, Diana Paulo, Jeffrey Valente, Rose, Mel, Bryce H52, Ryan, Bessie Knight, and Tegan.
Yay!
Welcome to all of you. Delighted to have you. Appreciate you supporting the show so much.
What a roster.
I made some, yeah. It was a lot of people, and I have made some changes to the tier system. So I reinstated the $1 tier for those interested in that, and I've also opened up some like the first books or seasons of certain things I have made open to $1 tier. I can't remember what now. I'm so sorry. I intended this to be like a real good little plug, and then I just came in without my information in front of me. But suffice to say that you should come over to Unspoiled Podcast, or no, to patreon.com/unspoiled and check out what the tiers are and see what you can get in there, because I have changed some stuff up and there's more content available to just sort of give you a little taste at the $1 tier, and then hopefully get you hooked. And then I'll be able to just have you as a user forever. I tried to do like an evil laugh, and I just did like a raspberry at the beginning of it. It was like, what? I'm not cut out for this evil villain life. I am not serious enough for it. All right, everybody. We love you very much. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Until next time, toodaloo, motherfuckers.
Joffrey, Cersei, Walder Frey, Meryn Trant, Tywin Lannister.
That was an Unspoiled Network podcast.